The idea of service learning is that the most durable learning that we have comes from hands-on experience, experiential learning. So what we try to do is put people into the community or doing good work, things that serve the greater public good, and at the same time relate what they're doing to the learning objectives of whatever the class they're taking. So you have service and learning at the same time. We have different objectives. First, as I mentioned, the learning objectives of the classes. It's easier to instill those so that a year down the road, 5 years down the road, you'll have maintained those, durable learning. And at the same time, by working with the community, you're developing an ethic of civil responsibility, of civic engagement that you'll carry with you outside of the college. You'd be interested in working with the community. There's two ways you can approach service learning. We can integrate it into a class as either a requirement or as an extra credit opportunity. And then it's integrated into the syllabus, and there's assignments that are related to it, reflection assignments, and specific ways that it's related to course material that the faculty member takes greater responsibility for. Another way that you can introduce it into a student's life is to have an independent project where a student goes out and finds a project that they want to work on that meets the requirements of service, where they're working with providing a service to the greater good, and at the same time associating what they're learning in the community with one of their classes. An independent project doesn't take the place of an assignment within a class, but it's connected to a class so that we can work with the faculty member and ask them what are the learning objectives of the class, and then develop with that student a project and manage it through the service learning program. We've set up a system so that we can credit students with their participation in service learning on their transcript. The independent projects leave the responsibility up to the students. We can give them a list of community partners, people who understand what service learning is and the kinds of services that they might be looking for, and let the student be creative what kinds of things they want to be working on, things that they're learning in their major, things that their faculty member want them to develop, and put together a project much like an independent study. The AmeriCorps VISTA program, of course AmeriCorps puts people in the United States into work. It's like the Peace Corps, except it's working in AmeriCorps. Now VISTA, Volunteers in Service to America, they have a special mission, and that is to develop capacity. Not just hands-on work, building a structure, but to set up a system that will send other people out to do hands-on work and develop a system develop a program long after the VISTA member is gone. So it's developing capacity. As a new service learning program, which is part of the Mission Enhancement Plan, USAO, we applied for AmeriCorps VISTA through Campus Compact. Campus Compact is the national service learning organization. Our Oklahoma chapter applied to AmeriCorps VISTA, asking for 15 slots for the state to develop a database for service opportunities and community partners, and to generally promote student volunteerism on campuses. We took that as our mission and went to work with the new VISTA over a year ago and set up a database. We began to collect community partners, educate them about what service learning is and find out what their needs are. And we did some pilot projects, and in fact this is one of the projects that developed from an AmeriCorps VISTA guided class that we put together a year ago. It's finally come to fruition.
We've been preparing the ground for vegetables in the business class, and we've been involved with Botany Buddies with 4th graders at Lincoln Elementary, and they came and planted some of the plants. They started from seeds. I believe they planted tomatoes and green beans and marigolds and peppers.
What we did with the Botany Buddies was basically go to the store and buy dozens of types of seeds and starter kits, and took them all to the 4th grade class and said, have at it. Figure out what you want to plant it, grow it in the classroom, and they grew them for about 3 weeks. And then when it was time, we had a nice event. They all came out and showed them how to plant. We talked about compost, and they got a kick out of the idea that they would be eating something that grew in cow poo. and then the idea is this summer we'll be able to hold some events, and they'll be able to come back out and see how their plants are doing. And then as 5th graders, they'll be able to see the fruits of their harvest and hopefully help the incoming class of 4th graders get their own plants going.
They were real excited, and some of them had gardens and some of them didn't, so I think giving children that first-hand experience of growing something, they'll get more involved with USAO and have a connection here in the community. So.
To get involved in service learning, you simply go to your advisor or a faculty member, and if there's not a service learning in the class, but you have an interest in working with a community partner, an idea, a project that you could come up with, or a volunteer opportunity that's already established, and say, hey, I want to develop an independent project. Let's talk about learning objectives and assignments and the kinds of things that you'll be able to evaluate how I'm doing on this project step by step, and we put it together. They work through my office and we come up with a plan, and I track them over the semester. And then to get involved in this garden in particular, we have a couple of Facebook groups, and it's wide open if you want to volunteer. We have work days, and we send out alerts on work days. I'm always trying to track people down to water on the weekends when I'm not in town. We have people on staff. We have faculty that come out. The garden has been the subject of several service learning classes. The first was a summer class on community development and grant writing. And one of the students, as their project, they were each responsible for coming up with some kind of idea, and 3 of the 4 turned into actual service learning projects that are operating today. This was one of them, and that was a year ago. We were able to continue the work on this particular project through a second service learning class. And Craig Elder has been very helpful in that regard, and in this semester, in this term, his class is coming out and helping us revise and remodel the garden to go from a learning lab of a whole bunch of 4th graders to something that can have more capacity for actually growing vegetables and sort of augmenting or supplementing some of the work that they've done. So when they come back, they'll see not only the things that they've planted, but a whole range of other fruits and vegetables and flowers that they'll get to learn about as part of the program, the information and things we'll talk about in the Botany Buddies. We've had good success, we've had great success working with community partners on this garden. Chickasha Lumber and Raw Seed have been very helpful. We've gotten discounts from them and expert advice from the OSU Agricultural Extension, and we've been working with Chickasha Public Schools. From the university, we've had great support. We've had money from the student government, allotted us a nice chunk of money to get us started. We called it seed money, and the student services accounts have also paid for some of the other expenses that we've had, and the USAO Foundation has funded some of the infrastructure.